yards to our 65. Now, one of them was on a swing screen. There was a lateral, but that still counts. That's yards. So 4.9 to our 3.3. 7 penalties, 56 yards to our 10 for 76. A couple of those were crucial penalties, extended drives for them. Cost us, backed us out of, the red zone to where we had to settle for a field goal or punt or, we field goal and then it gets blocked. We had the fumble, and that was in plus territory for them. We talked about the field goal that got blocked and ran all the way back. The kickoff return that ends up in plus territory. Defensively, we sudden change where we've been really good. We gave up two touchdowns. We held on the last one, which is good, but they got put in a hard spot. And that was, we did that to ourselves, and they capitalized. And then obviously red zone, they were 3 of 5. We were 1 of 3. They had about 10 explosive with those couple of penalties. We only had 6. So those were really kind of the story of that game. Third down was pretty even for both teams. Not good enough. We talked about it. We got to be much better. We were good on fourth, which really we end up converting. Some of those third down roll into conversions, but however you cut, it's not good enough on third down. Doesn't matter. We had a number of our guys that we really depend on that we expect to play better. I expect to play better football, and us as coaches, starting with me, I got to coach it better. I got to get them ready. I did feel like we were pretty prepped. I felt like we were good going in last week. I thought the practices were sharp. They were intense, but we didn't play well enough. And so really, I know this sounds crazy, but the sky's not falling. We just didn't play very good. We just didn't play very good. And so much of it is the fundamentals and the discipline, which has not been an issue. And it did. It showed up in that game, and they capitalized. They did a good job, and they took advantage of our mistakes, and they got a dub because of it. Questions?
Jared Goff was saying one of the messages you preached to him was just responding to adversity. Just talk about that message to the team and why in that time you felt it was important to say that and using this as a teachable moment going forward.
Well, I say this all the time. You don't know. Every team's going to get hit with adversity at some point in the season. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know how long it's going to be for. Some maybe a week, maybe a game, some 2 weeks, maybe 3, maybe a month. I don't know. And it's really about how you handle it. It's always been about how you handle it. So when things aren't going your way or it feels a little rocky, just focus on what we need to correct and what cost us the game. And just keep your focus there. Not like, oh, man, what are we going to do? It's all utter panic and they're going to start running twist games and gun and we can't pick this up. Or what about third down? There's a reason why everything happened the way it happened. And it's all encompassing. It really took all of us. So, man, it's about calm down. All right, let's make the corrections. Let's go back to work this week, and let's get better. And let's play better football next week. That's all we got to do, and let's find a way to get a win. So I just think that's important, and as bad as it tastes right now, I'm a big believer in you look back at some point and said, man, that may have been the best thing that happened to us because we had to overcome this. We had to do this. This forced this change. This made us look at this a little different. This got the urgency up for the way I go about my business, and just sometimes that's the way it works. Most of the time, I believe that. So this is just a little storm we're in, and we got to weather it. No matter how long it takes, we'll get out of this. We'll be good.
We hear it all the time. This is a game of mismatches, right? Like, yeah. Trying to create mismatches. It seemed like they were able to create one consistently throughout this game by getting Gibbs isolated on a blitzer.
Yeah.
Why was there maybe not a better effort to adjust to that and kind of relieve him of some of that stress?
Well, a couple answers. You get David in. That's one. You could free release, but then they'll get him, and then they bring the other guy. So some of it is, okay, you can use some 7-man protections, right? There's some things that you can do. And look, I'm not going to disagree with you. There's things that we can do better and that we can get to. We don't want to have Gibby do a full game of it. Now, he's better than that, too. I've seen him. We all know him. He can protect. And, he had a little bit of an off day in some of that too, But no, we don't want him having to go hammerhead for 12 plays. That's not I don't want either of those backs having to do that, but that was the plan to keep him in. That was kudos to them to keep him in, not let him release on some of that stuff. And, we turned the protection a couple of times, but they forced our hand. And you got to, it's either, you either go there or you're going to put him on a big. And so, we got to adjust a little quicker.
Yeah, each of the 3 losses this season, you've alluded to some form of communication issues.
Yeah.
What do you feel needs to happen to get that corrected moving forward?
Yeah, I think we just need to do a better job of, really making our point about the communication of how it's going to go down. Out at the practice field, let's make sure that we're all on the same page as coaches, and in turn, the players are. And then they got to hold each other accountable too. So I know it's like, well, what? It's really that simple. It really is. So it does take all of us, and we all have to be on the same page. And really, we've been pretty good, but it caught us a couple of times yesterday.
Talk about using the backs in protection, but getting Gibbs and getting J-Mo into space seems like something so obvious on the outside. And obviously, there is so much that happens behind the scenes, but is that something you would have liked to have seen happen a little bit more yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, we would have. Anytime you can get Gibbs in space, that's pretty good for us. We had a couple of things, and the timing of it wasn't good enough. The timing of it wasn't good enough. We had a couple of screens for Gibbs that were it was like the worst case scenario happens. We have one leaf is motioning in, ends up hitting the end. He's laying on the ground, makes the play. And that's not how that's designed, So these things happen. It was not our day, which is of our own doing, and we got to be better. But the more times you can get J-Mo and Gibbs in space, it's good for our offense.
The communication issues. Do you feel like there's any other common threads to the games where you've maybe struggled a little bit offensively, or do you think that is kind of?
Well, sometimes it's. And you get in a rough spot, and normally we get ourselves out of it. You hit a rough patch in a game, no different than a season, right? And you just got to get out of it. And it swelled up a little bit on us. It kind of one thing compounded into the next error, and then we start. You start looking for things that aren't there. And so it was just kind of, from one thing to another, and it just started to build, and we never really got in a true rhythm. And when we did, we'd have a penalty that really hurt us and took us out of manageable downs. So, like I say, hey, credit to those guys. They earned that win. I mean, we didn't get close to earning that win. But at the end of the day, we had a chance to win that game. And really, those critical errors I talked about, take one of those away. And you may not feel great, but you're walking away with a win. Any one of those, whether it was the special teams errors, whether it was defense and the sudden change, whether it was offense on a penalty going into the red zone, it's literally one play. So, we just clean it up.
Talk a little bit about trade deadline last week. Did anything that happened yesterday, either results or injuries, kind of change your opinion on what you might need to do here?
No, I mean, look, we're still gathering information on some of our guys other than Mahogany. He is definitely going to be out for a while, for a long time. So, but no, and look, Brad and I and the coaches got done with the game, looked at the game, talked about it, graded the players, and so we haven't even discussed this coming out of that game into today. So I don't really have anything to say on it.
You just wanted to follow. You do have 5 pretty prominent defensive players coming back. I mean, if you do nothing, that even though they won't be back tomorrow, is that sort of like your trade deadline ads? You know what I mean? I mean, Davenport and Malcolm and
well, I mentioned this before. We're going to start getting some good players back. Some really good impact players for us. And you just named, you did Davenport. We're talking about Reed. We're talking about Pascal. We're talking about Rodriguez. Dorsey on special teams. I mean, so we got some guys that are going to start coming back, and that does give you a boost. I mean, that helps you. It only makes your team better, makes your roster better.
How much faith
is there in how Ashika to fill that role? Or are you going to kind of give some other guys some chance there for Mahogany?
Well, look, Yodi went in. I see Yodi competing at one of those spots. Obviously, where Mahogany's at left guard. And I mentioned this before. We got Kingsley on the vet squad. We got Neese on the vet squad. Certainly Cologne has been traveling the game. He's played center guard. So, listen, we're looking at everything. We are. And like I said, we'll see where we're at. But I don't feel like this is. I can't say one way or another whether we're going to make a move. I got to go talk to Brad. But as of right now, I don't know of anything.
Just to clarify, do you have any updates on Decker and Sewell?
Nothing new other than, nothing sounds long term, which is good. That's good news. I think it's more about, are they going to be able to practice this week and are they going to be able to play this week? But nothing beyond that, I don't feel like, as of right now.
You see maybe limited at the very least, I guess, in practice, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I don't think either one of them will be able to practice Wednesday. Now, I hope they will. But there again, we just got out of the game. They're pretty sore, everybody that's played in there. So,
Tate, you think Tate's okay?
Yeah, I think Tate will be okay. Yep.
You still think there's a chance you can get Mahogany back this year, Dan?
I do. It's not, for what the injury is, it's a broken bone. So that's, in relative to injuries, that's a good thing. I think will heal up. It'll be stronger than it was before. And so, yeah.
Thanks, Dan.